It begins as a couple enter a hospital, the wife ready to give birth any minute. A nurse holding a wheelchair approaches the couple and gets Kate on it so she doesn't have to walk to the delivery room while in labor. Breathing heavily, Kate lets them lead her there but suddenly feels blood between her legs. When she regains consciousness, she finds herself in an operating room with the surgical doctor asking her to relax. Feeling anxious, Kate starts to breathe heavily until one of the nurses tells her that she's sorry for her loss, which really aggravates her. Kate finds it hard to believe that her child is dead and cries audibly. Her husband, careless about their child's death, keeps on filming, telling his wife that she's doing great. Suddenly she hears a child cry, and the nurse hands her an infant covered in blood. Gasping for breath, Kate wakes up from the recurring nightmare and gets out of bed to take her medication. The following day, Kate goes to see her therapist and they talk about her nightmares. She mentions that it might be because she and her husband were going to see the children that they might adopt the following day, and Kate has doubts of whether she's ready to adopt a child or not. After a motivational speech from her therapist, she goes to school to pick up her young daughter. On their way home, Kate almost gets into an accident with her daughter in the back, which scares her to death. After making sure that her daughter's okay, she carefully drives them home. Later, while Kate tries to work on her music, she's distracted by her daughter consistently throwing a ball against the wall. Going outside, she asks her to take a break so she can work, and while she was talking to Max, her husband John arrives with his son Daniel from soccer practice.
Wait, hold on. Did you subscribe to our channel? Come on guys, you're here, you're watching the video. Help us out by hitting the subscribe button, as it really helps out me and my team to make more videos for you guys. And now, let's get back to the recap.
That night, Kate tucks her partially deaf daughter into bed and signs her bedtime story. Once Max was asleep, Kate goes to their bedroom and speaks to John about the adoption that she had been very doubtful about. The two decide to go see the children the following day and see if they can find a child that's a good fit for them. The following day, Kate and John go to the orphanage early in the morning. While John goes to the bathroom, he hears a child singing and goes to one of the rooms and meets Esther, who was there painting. After going through her beautiful paintings and hearing one of the stories that she'd come up for them, John sits there fascinated by the child. Suddenly, their conversation is interrupted by Kate, who walks into the room and is introduced to Esther by John. After spending some time with the girl, John and Kate speak to the head nun of the orphanage, Sister Abigail, and ask her a few questions about Esther. They find out that even though her English was really good, the girl was originally from Russia, and the family that brought her to the States died from a house fire that she barely got away from. Feeling a sense of connection with the girl, the couple decided to adopt her. 3 weeks later, all of the paperwork had gone through, and Kate, along with her husband, came to the orphanage to pick up their new daughter. After they drive home, Esther was excited to see the large house and the bedroom the couple had prepared for her. Later, they shower the young orphan girl with gifts so she feels welcome. Although Max takes an instant liking to Esther, Daniel, on the other hand, was more than reserved and seems to be jealous of all the attention that the new girl was getting. The following day, the children go to school and the other kids make fun of Esther's dated outfit. That night, Kate prepares a bath for Esther and gets upset when the child locks the door. After convincing her that she will be singing the whole time, Kate allows her to lock the door only for that night. While she's taken a bath, Kate goes into the child's room to put in the laundry and finds a box with a picture of a man inside of it. Thinking that it must have been her old family, she hurriedly returns the picture and leaves the room. At school, Esther continues to be teased by her classmates and has an unexpected incident where one of her bullies tries to take off the ribbon on her neck. She screams at the top of her lungs, causing all the children to stop and stare. When she returns home that day, Kate has a piano lesson with the girl and tries to talk to her about what happened. Esther ignores the question and asks Kate about Jessica, the daughter who had died inside her womb. After explaining what happened, Kate takes the child to the garden and shows her the roses that they were raising as a memorial for their dead daughter. After Esther tells her that her daughter would have been lucky to have been raised by her, the two hug and share a loving moment. That night, while the children were asleep, Kate and John begin fooling around in the kitchen and are accidentally caught by Esther. Feeling awkward, Kate goes to speak to her about it and is shocked by the vulgar way Esther phrases what happened and the knowledge that she had, which makes Kate suggest that they take the child to the doctor, but John doesn't think that they should make a big deal out of it. The following day, John takes the kids to the playground. While the others were playing, Esther pushes one of the girls who had been bullying her at school off the slide, causing her to break her leg. At home, Kate and John question her about the incident, but Esther lies and tells them that the girl only slipped. A few days later, Kate catches Esther playing the piano and confronts her about lying about her skills. Esther explains that she only said that because she thought Kate would enjoy teaching her as her daughter couldn't hear and her son wasn't interested. Kate informs John about what happened and also mentions that Esther had told her that he was hitting on one of the mothers in the playground, rehashing John's old mistake of cheating on her. As the two fight, Esther smiles in her room while painting. Later that day, Sister Abigail comes to visit the family with troubling news. She tells the family that she looked into Esther further and found troubling news that the house fire that killed her old family was actually caused by arson. As they converse, Esther was worried about the information that was coming out and decides to take care of Abigail. Waiting until the nun leaves, she takes Max and heads out to a slippery road. Just as Sister Abigail passes by, Esther pushes Max onto the street, causing the car to skid to a stop. When Abigail comes to see if the girl was okay, Esther appears behind her and smashes the woman's head with a hammer, and then forces Max to help her hide the body. The following day, Kate and John take Esther to see a therapist, who later tells them that the child was feeling neglected by Kate, making her sure that Esther was manipulating them. That night, the family is contacted by the police, who had found Abigail's body in the woods. After asking them a few questions, the police remind them to contact the station if they remember anything new. The next day, while Kate was taking the children to school, she asked them if they'd felt uncomfortable about Esther, which both children fearfully admit that they didn't. At home, John and Esther spend the day together painting. When Esther describes her concern that Kate doesn't like her, John suggests that she do something nice to show her that she cares. That night, Esther provides Kate with the roses that she was growing for her dead daughter, which upsets Kate and she grabs Esther tightly on the arm. Later that night, she goes into the garage and fakes an injury on her arms to make it seem like Kate had severely injured her. She asks John to take her to the hospital and then convinces him to let her sleep in their room, creating a wedge between the two. Feeling upset, Kate goes to the liquor store and buys 2 wine bottles, but refrains from drinking it and spills the liquor down the drain. The following day, while Kate was dropping off the children, Esther changes the gear of the car while Kate was outside, causing the vehicle to slide down while Max was still inside. Although the car slid down, it safely drops into the snow without anyone being hurt. When Kate gets home that night, John calls over her therapist and reveals the wine bottle that Esther had supposedly found. John threatens Kate that if she doesn't go to rehab, he will leave and take the children with him. That night, she slowly gets out of bed while John was still asleep and gets dressed in the dark. She then goes to Max's room to wake up her daughter, but finds Esther there waiting for her. Esther reveals that she'd been reading her private journal and continues to say very cruel things to her. Now convinced that the girl was out to get her, she begins to dig further into her past. Going through her things, she finds a Bible with an institute's name engraved on it. When she calls the institution, she finds out that it isn't an orphanage, but rather a mental institute. After his secret conversation with Max, who reveals what Esther did to the girl in the playground and his sister Abigail, Daniel goes to the treehouse to get the evidence, but is ambushed by Esther, who proceeds to burn down the place. While trying to escape the fire, Daniel falls and hurts himself badly, and after seeing the fire, Kate rushes to the treehouse and finds the children there. She takes the boy to the hospital, sure that Esther is responsible for what happened. After giving him the care that he needs, the doctor informs them that Daniel has been severely hurt and is lucky to still be alive. After the doctor leaves, Kate and John continue the conversation while Esther attempts to kill Daniel by suffocating him with a pillow. Although it was a close call, the doctors could revive Daniel, but the incident drives Kate to the edge, forcing her to attack Esther, which prompts the nurses to sedate her. Kate wakes up feeling delirious and sees John leaning over her. After telling her that their son was fine, he explains that the doctors wanted her to stay overnight. Although she begs him to keep Esther away from Max, he assumes that it's just her paranoia talking and takes the kids home. At home, John puts Max to sleep and opens a wine bottle and begins to drink. Meanwhile, Esther tears up Kate's clothes and makes herself a skimpy dress, attempting to seduce John. When he realizes what's happening, he sends the girl up to her room, telling her that they need to reconsider her future in that house. At the hospital, Kate receives a call from Russia from a man who had more information about Esther. After warning her to get her family away from the girl, he explains that Esther had a rare hormone disorder that causes proportional dwarfism and tells Kate that she is a grown woman who is now 33 years old. The man explains that Esther was one of the most violent patients, which caused scars on her wrist and neck when she was trying to escape, and now she has to wear ribbons to hide the scars. The doctor tells Kate that Esther had killed the entire family that adopted her when she was unable to seduce the father. Panicking, Kate rushes home and attempts to call John, who had gone into Esther's room to speak to her, and finds disturbing paintings on the wall done with neon coloring. Going downstairs to answer the phone, John finds the breakers to the house cut off, and the place has gone completely dark. While looking around with a flashlight, John is stabbed to death by Esther, and when Kate arrives home in a rush, she finds her husband's dead body in the living room. Crying, she goes upstairs to look for her daughter, but is then shot in the arm by Esther. While trying to hide from Esther, Kate sees her attempting to shoot her daughter and attacks her by jumping from the roof down into the garden and landing on the girl directly. Once she was down, Kate grabs her daughter and heads to the woods. Although the police arrive, Esther manages to get up and follow Kate and her daughter. After a long struggle, Kate manages to escape as Esther drowns in the frozen lake. Crawling out of the water, Kate grabs her daughter and heads toward the police, their nightmarish life now finally over with Esther's drowning body. I hope you guys enjoyed the recap. Make sure to leave me a like, leave a comment, also subscribe to my channel. I love you guys so much and I promise to see you on my next recap. Bye!